David Nagler at the TeleVue booth, and David, I want to just kind of walk around your booth and show us some of your stuff. What are you offering at the show?
Well, we're trying to obviously represent the entire line of TeleVue telescopes and eyepieces. Some of the more esoteric accessories we'll leave behind, but we certainly answer a lot of questions from customers that want eyepiece recommendations, or if they want something for astrophotography or general portable high-quality instrument. Show them a TeleVue 85 here on a panoramic mount. The latest addition to the 85 has been a dual-speed 10-to-1 focuser. Just adds to what was always an ultra-smooth rack pinion focus.
Buttery smooth, they say.
Yeah. This is our NP101 standard, but the 2-inch focuser, just like the 85, but we do make an imaging systems version, which has larger rear optics, larger focuser, and what that does is allow more light to reach film plane in the corners for larger CCD sensors.
The chip size.
Right.
Now, also on this scope, because I want to point out, you got the finder here. Now, this is a really unique finder, isn't it?
Yeah, this is our Starbeam red dot finder. It was one of the first ones ever around, and the way it operates, it has a little glass lens in here and an illuminator. The illuminator shines a light through a little pinhole here. The key is that the lens is curved on the back side, and this illuminator is placed at the focus of that curve, at the radius center of that curve. So, therefore, when the light bounces off that uncoated surface and back to your eye, it comes back collimated. So it comes back as if it were at infinity. Now, obviously, lenses have two surfaces. If we had just left the first surface either curved or flat, we would get a double reflection of that illuminator. But in order to make it sharp, we did two things. One is we put a coating on the outer surface to reduce the reflection, reduce the intensity off of the second surface. But the second thing we did, and this is where my father's real genius comes to task, is he put a compensating curve on the back side so that the double reflection would overlap the reflection from the nearer surface, or the inner surface. So you have one bright, sharp red dot instead of multiple little reflections that you get with much less expensive units. Another little feature of this guy is, and this was another one of my father's little duh moments, if you will, is he got tired of doing this and craning his neck. So he came up with a little device called the flip mirror. So if the scope's pointed up, you just flip the mirror up, you look down, you can see the reflection of the starbeam and the sky through it, and now just guide your telescope with nice, comfortable neck.
Clever. What a clever gizmo.
So it's all these little details that make TeleVue, that we think make TeleVue products just that extra special.
What's going on back here?
Well, this is our NP127 IS. It's the largest scope we make. It's a 5-inch f5.2, very fast focal length, fast focal ratio telescope with short focal length, 660 millimeters. So you get nice wide angle coverage, but it's also flat field. So this has that larger imaging system focuser I was describing earlier, the large rear lenses, and non-vignetting focuser, so that as much light can reach the corners of a 52 millimeter diagonal chip as possible. On top of it is another Starbeam, but also mounted here is a little bruiser called a 60 IS. And in fact, it's pretty amazing what this little scope can do, and people underestimate it because it's a small 60 millimeter aperture. But in a minute, when John comes back to the booth, I'll have him bring up a picture on his iPad that he took a 3-minute exposure of Andromeda. That's just
Joining us now is John Rhodes, who works with TeleVue. He's the Western representative, isn't that right? Great. John, you took a picture. Now, the latest little scope, the IS-60, is an incredible telescope. I mean, it's remarkable. This telescope made this picture?
It took this picture. I was just piggybacking my camera on the back, and I took this picture. It is a less than 3-minute single shot JPEG.
No kidding.
But of course, the big stars in the TeleVue booth are always the eyepiece, the plethora of eyepieces that we have. This is our latest series, the Delos, long eye relief, 20 millimeters of eye relief, 72-degree apparent field. But what made them special and different beyond our Radiant series of eyepieces, which were also 20 millimeters of eye relief, is that we've taken some of the characteristics of our ethos optical properties, and people enjoy them so much that we said, all right, let's use the same criteria with the Delos, and it's proved to be really tremendously successful. So the idea behind the Delos was not to come up with a smaller field, less expensive ethos, but to come up with a 20 millimeter eye relief eyepiece that had the same image qualities as the
Is that mainly because of people with aging eyes and difficulty in eye relief? And
glasses.
Trying to be able to deal with how sometimes can be very tight. I know the 2.5 Nagler, for instance, can be a little shifty. I mean, you got to be right on that baby.
Well, yeah, when you have a small exit pupil like that, you have to hunt for it. So, small exit pupil that a 2.5.
Does the Delos help improve on that and make that be an easier?
Well, yes and no. In some ways, the long eye relief makes it much harder to find. You touch on a very interesting point, because I know there's a big misconception about a small little device we had developed many years ago called the Pupil Guide. The long eye relief actually makes it more difficult for people to find a small exit pupil that is not illuminated by something like the moon. So if you're looking at Saturn, which isn't really that bright, and you're using a high power with a small exit pupil, the, shall we say, uninitiated or maybe more novice user would have a hard time sort of hunting around for a tiny little 0.5 millimeter exit pupil. So my father had recognized that doing some sidewalk astronomy outside of the, if anyone's ever been to Neef, the now famous Airmont Diner. Okay, that's right outside of where a lot of Neef attendees go to eat. But my father would do sidewalk astronomy there. He'd show people Saturn, and he noticed that people had a hard time finding the exit pupil with the Radiant eyepiece with 20 millimeters of eye relief. So he developed the Pupil Guide to help guide them laterally. The Radiant had an extendable eye guard. So that eye guard helps people to locate in height where their eye needs to be. But laterally, where's that exit pupil? By having a smaller disc opening, and I think we had one over there. Let's see if we had one. By having a smaller disc, it just helps you guide your eyepiece to the center. So, but what's nice about, as I was, we were talking about the Delos and what makes it easier or more helpful to find the eye point is this sliding adjustable height eye guard. So with 20 millimeters of eye relief, I can use my glasses, look through it, see the whole field of view. Then without it, start with the eye guard up, put your eye up to it, and then just slide it on down until you see the full field of view. Makes it real easy.
And then the quality is just outstanding. I mean, the remarkable eyepieces. If you get a high quality telescope, you gotta have high quality eyepieces. It's just the other end of the system. Thanks, fellas. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming by.
No, thank you. And thank you, Leonard Holmberg.